Hey, this is Notser, and this is a user replay. Morten is in the Tier 10 German destroyer, Z-52 or Z-52. The map is north, and Morten said this is a pretty good game. So I'm inclined to believe him, based on the limited information that I have on the game. Now, Morten is running radiolocation. How do I know that? It's that little indicator on the top of the screen. He also has concealment, so this is a pretty skilled commander. He's got at least 14 points invested in it. I do see Superintendent. I bet he's got faster torpedo rearm. So yeah, he's invested in this ship. He should have plenty of experience in the ship to pull off a pretty good game. And right off the bat, Morten spots an enemy Hindenburg. And that's unfortunate for him. I don't know that the indicator, though, is set to that particular ship. I think there is a destroyer just a little bit closer. It's just slightly targeting something in front of him. So I would guess that a Hindenburg is following a destroyer, and that destroyer happens to be just north of the islands that were just south of the Hindenburg's location. How do you know that? Well, you know, it just playing the game, having that. You also see that radiolocation is spotting Morten out, and that means that Morten is now the closest target to whoever has radiolocation on the enemy team. And because of that, it pretty much is coming from the northwest side of the map, because he's moved into a position where the northeast side, there's nothing in the northeast that would have magically become closer to another target other than Morten. But definitely in the northwest, one of his friendlies were not as forward as Morten became. But then, of course, you have a Des Moines. And the friendly Des Moines is suicidal, it appears. He's pushing forward into death. I don't understand this play. Maybe he was committed, and maybe he just wanted to get to the next game, but friendly Des Moines is going to die, and I kind of think that Morten wants to give him smoke. I don't know that that's really worth it. He seems to be dying awfully quick, and I just don't think you should invest smoke into someone that is going to do stuff like that. And of course, the binocular bullcrap is on the screen. Can't really control that. And yeah, the Des Moines dies, unfortunately. Hirekaze. Hopefully he survives, although his name is Danger Seeker, and he has to avoid the torpedoes. He did drop smoke, though, for the Des Moines, and I would hate for the friendly to die because of that. That feels so bad. It's not his fault, you know? And radiolocation is indicating that there's something to the northwest. Well, we saw in Iowa, we see a lion. There was a Kagero that sent his torpedoes. And he got a hit on a target. Interesting. It did 10,000, and I think it's actually still flooding out the target. Huh. It was a innermost torpedo, so something was either bow on thin enough to avoid it, or it could have potentially been a destroyer. And oh, wait a minute. Radiolocation has detected a target out to the western side of the map. And, oh, it was a Kagero. That Kagero is the one that took the torpedo, and for whatever reason couldn't repair it. But there's an enemy destroyer, and the torpedoes confirm it. Morten sends torpedoes towards the enemy Minotaur, towards the Iowa, the Lion. We have an enemy out here, though, and it is absolutely a destroyer. Why? Because the Minotaur is about 6.5, 7 kilometers, and he is not spotted with the radiolocation. This is something that has better concealment than that, and the only thing better is a destroyer. And of course, it's another Kagero. Now this one is not going to die to torpedoes the way the last one. Elder is just chilling over here, trying to kill more targets. He did successfully kill a friendly battleship for Morten, and Morten wants to get some revenge. Of course. He gets a torpedo strike, probably on a Lion or the Iowa. I wouldn't guess that the Minotaur got hit by it. and he's going to continue to pursue the Kagero. The Kagero hasn't fired. He's trying to get back out of detection range and up to the hydroacoustic, which is 5.9 for the tier 10. Because it has the German hydroacoustic, you basically have to just run directly away from the target to avoid it. And it looks like maybe a battleship with HE loaded, maybe it's a Lion connected with a little bit of damage. Morten is low, and it does look like he expected the enemy Kagero to head back to his teammates, but the radio location indicator would suggest he actually is headed to the southwest side. Now this is incredibly dangerous because Morten has not only himself, but 5 friendly ships that can corner and kill this guy. He has nowhere to go. This is a textbook play that so many destroyers do, and they think they're cheeky. Well, they're not. You're not fooling anyone. And the torpedoes aren't fooling the German. Not at all. Morten switches to AP, and he's just gonna broadside this guy. What can the Kagero do? He's dead. He zigged when he should have zagged. He should have absolutely gone north and run to his friendlies. At least that way, he would have had a chance. But by going south, he had no chance. And he clearly knew he was radio located. Some might say, well, he had no, radio located, you can't do anything cheeky at all. You can't head south. You can't try and lose them, make the enemy go one way and you go the other. There's nothing you can do except play it correctly. Run back to your team and rely on them to discourage Morten and anyone from pursuing. Unfortunately, he's dead. And fortunately for Morten and his team, there are no more enemy destroyers left alive. Morten can freely sail around the map, sending torpedoes at will, and he's pretty much immune to any counterplay. And that's a really, really big deal. It is so important that you try and survive as a destroyer. If you're the last one, you've got to give up your self-interest for the team. It doesn't mean you got to stop making plays, but you just can't overextend. You have to try and stay with your team, send torpedoes against the closest target, spot the closest target, and be intelligent with your decision making, because a destroyer is the most important single ship in the game to not have. You could say aircraft carrier sucks to not have. They give you more information, but a destroyer can play the objective. Put pressure on the enemy. They can send torpedoes, of course. They can smoke out. And they, of course, can detect every target without being detected. And the enemy Iowa that was pushing forward into Morten's team died. So, everything's working out okay. The enemy has one more enemy killed. And they have another enemy killed. So Morten's just looking for a target, any target. He could send at the Der Grosse. He could send at Friedrich der Grosse. He could send at the Grosse Kurfürst. And I think he actually decided to send at the Grosse Kurfürst. I could be wrong. I don't think he sent directly at a Friedrich der Grosse. And I don't think that the torpedoes are going to work out. It looks like they're going to miss the intended target, and unlike the Shimakaze at this tier, it's not a huge deal that it occurs. And yeah, Friedrich der Grosse is not going to hit it. It's not a huge deal because his torpedoes will be back up in 30 seconds, whereas a Shima, it would be a minute and 30 seconds. But it still sucks. It still sucks to miss a target that's basically out in the open and has no reason to maneuver at all. So, Morten has a couple ideas. Maybe the Minotaur, maybe the Yamato. That Minotaur is pushing rapidly towards the southern side of the map. Maybe a little bit too aggressive. I can't imagine he's out of smoke. I think he's used 2 at this point. And worst case scenario, he has 3. Best case scenario, he has 4. So he should have at least 1 charge, but he's not using it. He's just moving forward, taking fire from friendlies. They're unfortunately missing, but he's still taking fire. And Morten sent his torpedoes at the Yamato. Now, why did he send them at it? Yeah, you know, these guys going down this middle area, they seem to be stalling out. They are content with bow-on tanking, and when you do that, you get countered by torpedoes, my friends. You have to commit to the full speed, otherwise this happens. You take torpedoes that, you know, they weren't difficult to aim, it's just they sent at a location that needed to be denied. Whereas this Grosse Kuh first, Friedrich der Grosse, they're a little bit further away. It's a little bit harder for them to do their damage. Maybe they're a secondary build. They're not benefiting from their secondaries at all. They are very aware that they are being detected by the destroyer. They just can't ever get close to them, no matter how hard they try. This ship has basically 10 knots on every remaining ship on this flank. So Morten's going to send torpedoes once again, and I believe he meant those for the Friedrich der Grosse. Unfortunately, the replay doesn't show the intended target or the crosshair selection, but it looks like it was sent at the Friedrich der Grosse. The Grosse Kuh first has already proven that he will change his heading for no other reason than he wants to, whereas the Friedrich der Grosse has not. And if he decides to just keep going west to east, he'll run right into multiple torpedoes, and that would be fantastic. And look, the Minotaur's dead, but he popped his smoke. He popped it too late, man. You can't be that greedy. So the Friedrich der Grosse takes 1, 2, 3 torpedoes. Fantastic. They cause a flood. Most likely it's going to be put out. Most likely. Yeah, there. So damage control is going to be down on the Friedrich der Grosse. I would love there to be a call out. Vulnerable to fires and floods. Something like that. I would say dots, but it's interesting how many people don't know what a dot is, and it's like, it's damage over time. Oh, fire, flood, they are damage over time. But I digress. So, Morten has more torpedoes back up. It seems like every time your torpedoes hit in the German, it's right back, and you can send again. I think this time he sent at the Grosse Kuh first. However, the Hindenburg is going to use his face to spot the torpedoes, and the Grosse Kuh first is going to benefit from this. He can slow his speed, maybe angle away. He's still going to take torpedoes. But if the Hindenburg was not there, I guarantee the Grosse Kuh first probably would have taken 4 or 5 torpedoes. He was not aware that the torpedoes were coming. And just Morten's luck. The one time that he catches this guy out, he's got 2 kills. His friendly Hindenburg gets in the way and basically prevents him from ultimately dying to 1 torpedo salvo. But his torpedoes are back up again. And the Grosse Kuh first is taking damage from fire, so his teammates can take advantage of this. And the game is so close. The enemy has an advantage, but they only have an advantage because they have killed more expensive ships. A destroyer isn't very expensive, but it is absolutely very important. I wish they would try and make the ships cost as much as they are. Like, if you're the last destroyer on a team, maybe there's a bonus to the enemy team, or just make sure that destroyers are the same cost as a battleship, because as far as a team gameplay, and don't you love it, the Grosse Kuh first splits the defense. I hate it when you send a torpedo and you have sort of 2 ideas. Either he could extend outward in one direction or turn back, and you sort of compromise your spread to send one at each strat, hoping that it ends up going your way, but in fact it doesn't go your way and you miss completely. That always sucks. And the coward, oh, the destroyer is a coward. But yeah, a destroyer is very important. point-wise. It's far more important than a cruiser point-wise. Cruiser's just your bread and butter. They're the DPS champ, but they get, you know, they're glass cannons. The battleship obviously stays in the fight for a really long time and can do a lot of damage, but the destroyer plays the objective. There's nothing that's better at playing the objective, and objectives win games. So the Grosso first, he's moving forward. And this is the first smoke that Morten has chosen to use. Now, maybe I would have used more, and maybe I would have been overrun. I've got a bad habit of using smoke to just feel like I need to get smoke charges used before the end of the game, and I find myself that the enemy will just rush me down, and I spend too much time firing from smoke. Even now, Morten could fire at that Muskfon, but he's not going to. He's going to try and move towards the center. It's not looking good. Friendly Zhao is the only other ship alive on his team, and they need to get at least 2 kills. Preferably 2 kills in the form of these battleships, but 1 battleship and 1 cruiser. So either way, one of these 2 has to die in order for Morten's team to win. There's not going to be a capture scenario. So Morten uses his radar, his radio location, sorry. He was in smoke, so he saw that they were moving forward, and he sends his torpedoes. Now, I think he sent his torpedoes at the Lion, and maybe 1 at the De Grossa. I don't know that that's actually what ended up happening, but that's what it looked like. And neither one of these ships are really changing their direction. They do know they're spotted. Situation awareness is absolutely off, and they see this, like, target coming out of smoke, coming behind an island, and they're spotted. They see the Zhao detected by their friendly, and there is an aircraft that is potentially going to get too close to Morten. He does have his AA turned off, but he recognizes it too. He's trying to gain ground before, and he got some torpedo strikes, and that's pretty cool. The floods don't stick, but he got some torpedo strikes, and now he's under the aircraft. The enemy De Grossa's secondaries are firing at him. I don't know where his guns are pointed. Maybe he felt like he could take out the Zhao. Enemy Lion fires his HE. Enemy Lion fires all his HE. And the Friedrich Der Grosse finally fires his main battery. And the torpedoes are back up, ready to go for Morten. He's not going to send them just yet, though. Interesting choice. Maybe he just wanted to be unspotted, be unpredictable. I don't know that this is the right play for the enemy team, though. If you look at it, there's an enemy Zhao, and they had a general idea where he is located. They don't have to do anything. The enemy team doesn't have to do anything, in fact. The enemy team probably should have just pulled back and let the team of Morten have to overextend for the win. But they're aggressively pushing forward, even though they have the game in their advantage. And, oh, Morten, that torpedo strike's not going to hit. The Friedrich Der Grosse changed his direction. They have a minute left, and they have to get this kill. So Morten, he goes into his smoke. Friendly Zhao is firing. The enemies just have to kill the Zhao. There's no way they're going to see Morten unless they rush down with Hydra, but he's not committed to that. And Morten has to go AP on the broadside. Now, AP on the broadside is wonderful if you hit the superstructure. But if you hit the top of the hull on, I believe, Germans, some faction has a higher than average armor at the top of the hull. The best place to hit a German, though, is the superstructure with your destroyer AP. And he's hitting that gap. And there's only about 25 seconds left. Oh, come on, Morten. We need a little bit more damage than 300 per salvo. Move it forward, Morten. There we go. It would have been bad if Morten didn't get that kill. But good job. Good job, Morten. This is the only time I believe Morten's team has been in the lead. And that's all that matters, baby. And someone's not happy with their team. But can you blame him? You got to play for the win. And yes, it's great to have personal glory, and I lose sight of this all the time. However, you've got to try and win the game first and foremost. That's going to give you the biggest reward. in that moment, they didn't need to enter the enemy's base. They just had to force the team of Morten and the Zhao to overextend, and they could punish that. But they didn't do that, and fortunately, Morten and the Zhao were able to close it out and win the game for their team, and I'm glad we got to see it. I hope everyone has a wonderful day, and I'll catch you next time.